I will give the floor now to Joel Mills. I think you have a short video maybe, or you want to start with that, or you want to start with a short introduction?
I'll start with a short introduction if that's all right, and then I'll show you the video at the end. Okay, so what I want to do is talk a little bit about what we've heard a little bit about this morning. We've heard a lot this morning about technology. We've heard a lot this morning about communication and how people work together. And we've also heard from Dubai, and we also heard it from Deutsche Telekom about how people are using technologies and how these technologies are changing. My company is all about technology, and that's what we're working with. But I think the most important thing to realize is that it's all about us. It's all about people. We talk about communication. We talk about how we need to communicate better between government and academia and the public and all these different areas. But it's just as important to communicate with data. Just as important to work with the technologies we're working with. People are scared of technology. The only way we're going to make this technology help us to solve these goals, which is a really critical thing we need to solve, is to be able to work with it, understand it, and not be scared of it. And that means making what we're working with transparent and understandable, and so everybody can work with it. I hear every day people talking about artificial intelligence. I hear every day people talking about big data. The number of times I've talked to people about big data and they're so excited about it, and then I ask them what they're doing, they say, we're storing lots of data. I say, what are you using it for? And they say, oh, we don't know yet. We've got all these tools out there. We need to utilize them and use them to really push us forward. If we've got a chance to meet these goals, we need to use everything we can, and we need to make it so people accept it and can work forward with it. We've been doing this sort of work for 15 years within other industries, and we've just started to see how we can do it in another area. And I think what's really interesting is the KPIs used by the UN system for smart cities are a really, really good tool for benchmarking. Really, really good tool to understand where we are. But benchmarking means you're always reacting and not proactive. What we want to do is start to change that to allow people to be proactive. So I'm going to show you a short presentation. I'm going to show you a couple of short videos and a couple of slides I'm going to talk through to explain that. So can we run the first video, please? Maybe I can do it.
For 15 years, we've delivered the world's most advanced offshore simulation solutions. But our exciting new journey to develop smart, sustainable cities has just begun. Humans understand data best in a visual format. Working with the UN, we created a digital twin of Ålesund, Norway, and augmented data with powerful 3D visualization tools. You can quickly interact with and interpret big data to identify trends, evaluate risk, test theories, and assess progress.
Simulation technology will be a game changer in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and AugmentCity represents a unique possibility in this field.
As we upscale to other cities, join us, the UN and our partners, on a journey towards a smart and sustainable future.
Okay, so what we're doing here is we're actually using something people are very, very familiar with. People are actually really good at dealing with big data. We just don't believe it. We deal with big data every day, but we deal with it through a visual format. We don't deal with big data in the way that computers are used to, with zeros and ones or text or whatever else. Humans interact and work with big data all the time through a visual interaction. If you can then use that visual interaction and overlay extra information, people will take that in automatically. And then we are incredibly good at working with this complex data, understanding this data, getting results from these solutions and pushing things forward. The results you see in front of you here is the KPIs taken from Ålesund, the city which we're working in. And what we did is we started to take these results and we started to say, okay, how do we use these results and actually start to analyze them? So we're taking out things which are different levels of the KPIs, and we start to visualize these directly in a 3D digital twin. So in the background there, you see a big red mountain. That isn't a mountain, that is showing you sound produced from the airport. The ribbon through the city is showing you a traffic through the main flow through the city. So we're starting to use visual tools to really give people a better understanding of how things work. Now I'm going to run a case study in the background here, and I'm going to just talk a little bit about it in the background. But what we're trying to do here is use these tools to really make things work and change things. So we're looking at problems which are existing already within cities and finding smart ways to solve these. So this was looking at emergency response time, which is a problem through high traffic periods within Ålesund. So we looked at the high traffic periods and we looked at how we could go about solving this. So this is a clear example of an issue you've got, and traffic issues, unfortunately, are an issue in the majority of cities we have, and are one of the key pushers towards the problems to do with the climate as we're talking about it today. So we looked at this and we took a number of different simulations, and we started to find solutions which could really push things forward. So we started to look at the opening times of schools and daycare, and understand if we just changed hours of times of when things were open, what effect would this have on traffic? So we're not changing infrastructure, we're just changing simple other things. We also looked at parking and went through the details with that. And then we finally looked at rubbish collection, and we realized there were some issues there. But what I'm trying to get to here is using these tools and starting to put together all the data we already have today. We don't need to get huge amounts more data. We're already sitting with so much data. If we use that data, we can already start to change the world. But to change the world, we've got to work with all these tools around us and start to accept those tools around us. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to skip to one little final video, because I don't want to use up too much of my time. I'm going to skip to one little final video which explains this concept. But as you can see here, before I skip to that video, just with doing those 3 changes, we actually managed to halve the traffic within the city and half the response time for emergency services. So I'm going to skip past this, actually.
Let me tell you a story. My dad used to be one of those stressed policymakers. You see, my dad was afraid if a fire were to break out during rush hour, it will be impossible for the firemen to make it in time. And then one day, my dad met this guy who had this really cool technology. This guy showed Dad how he could upload all his piles of existing data to map the effects wind, rain and temperature would have on the fire. He could even solve traffic jams by knowing where people were moving and changing opening hours of kindergartens and schools so that the fire trucks could move faster. Suddenly my dad was solving so many of those policy issues that he felt a little bit like a superhero. No, not like that, Dad. Luckily, this little fire of ours has just been another simulation. Okay, guys, let's do it one more time.
Hologram program activated.
Okay, so that was just a little video to give you a little introduction of what we're working with. But what I want to do is finish my introduction by just saying how important it is to really understand these technologies, to start to use these technologies, but to use them with people, and to center everything we work with the people behind it and the decision makers behind it, and to find methods to accelerate. I want it to be that the tools we're using, if it's AI, if it's big data, whatever it is we're using, I call them innovation catalysts. They're a catalyst to push innovation forward and to break boundaries. The point we talked about this morning with lawyers and everything else, if we can understand, and the public and everybody can understand what we're working with, then we can start to break those boundaries and really push things forward. So that's the direction I really hope we can all go into to really achieve these goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel. Very interesting. And we will hear later also a presentation related to digital twins. So this is definitely something that it's coming and it's needed now.